In this video today, we're going to be taking a look at 5 Detective Conan dubs, ranging all the way from the first ever lost Detective Conan dub from Singapore, all the way to the latest Detective Conan dub that has just come out, for the past 2 years. And I'm going to be doing it with Professor C, and usually he's just a voice in the void, so you know what? Let's just have Detective Conan represent him for the rest of the video. And if you want this video for whatever reason, like just to watch it, just hit me up, on Twitter or wherever, and I can send it to you. But I hope you enjoy this video, and let's start the first reaction.
その通りです。部屋は中から鍵をかけられ密室。犯人は3階の隣の窓から侵入し、窓から出て行った。窓の下に足跡はなく、状況がすべて内部の者の犯行であることを示しています。
Yeah, so of course the original Japanese is as good as it is. I mean, for something that's almost 20 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, and plus they remastered everything, but still, for something that's been around for like 25 years, it still sounds really good. And
I love the original Japanese voice for Shinichi. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's. I wouldn't say everybody's strive to imitate that, but I think to live up to that original Japanese performance, I think everybody that follows in every dub from all across the world really, has a lot to live up to that original Japanese version.
Yeah, I mean, even if you listen to his voice, it's a bit raspy, a bit hypish, but because he's a high school, so that's the tone that the Japanese audio sets.
That's right. Huh? It had to be one of you. The door was locked from the inside. The killer entered through the neighboring window on the 3rd floor and left the same way. There were no footprints under the window. This was clearly an inside job. The murderer and the victim knew each other.
For anyone who doesn't know what's going on, this dub was the first ever Detective Conan English dub that had ever come out. It was done in Singapore by Odix, and if you didn't check it out, do check out the Save Case Closed podcast, where Professor C has actually talked to the voice of Shinichi Kudo. That's Joseph Mouri. He's also done the voice for Conan, but we'll see that later. Yeah. Okay, so this actually kind of sounds a bit like the Japanese, doesn't it?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that, and I've told Joe this in the past, I think there are some undertones to how he, character deliveries from here and really, a lot of what, in the Funimation version we have too, just because, I don't know, there's something, how the line is delivered is similar in some ways, and it makes me wonder, did Jerry Jewell see this work first, or did he see the Japanese version and then kind of go from there? But then it's kind of an oddity for me because Jerry Jewell naturally sounds like Shinichi Jimmy Kudo. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I love this version, that the OG English dub. You know how I feel. Maybe I may be a little biased to a certain degree towards this dub because going through the remaster process and talking to Joe, what these guys did, is nothing short of incredible. For 52 episodes that they worked on it.
Anyway, next is the Funimation one that almost, I believe, half of the English dub scene has been based on. I mean, have listened to for the past 10 years, or is it almost 15 years, I think.
Funimation held the license, from 03 to 2018. So, and now it didn't start, airing on television on Adult Swim until 2004. So, literally, if you think about it, there's a generation, really, of people that grew up with this, this next version with Jerry Jewell. And now they're, we'll touch on, what Griffin Burns brings, obviously, a tad bit later. But a whole generation grew up with this voice right here with Jerry Jewell.
Who else? The room he was killed in was locked from the inside. The culprit's only entry and escape point was the open window, but we're 3 stories up. There aren't prints below from the killer climbing up from the street because he entered through a neighboring window in your house.
I don't know. His voice is just so charismatic for some reason.
Yeah, no, it really is, and you can just tell he's very comfortable with the character, very at home, voicing the character, and really this, the Shinichi Kudo, Jimmy Kudo, really, I would say this was his big break into the business, and really something that catapulted his career, I think, to the next level, just because of how well he did with this character and how long he voiced the character. You know, you talk about 130 episodes and 6
Yeah.
films. I know we didn't get more than that, and I wish we did, and I know everybody in the and everybody wishes we did, but you know that's still a lot of content and a lot of voicing for one character. 130 episodes and 6 films, so. People identify him as that distinctive voice here in the States.
Yeah, he's done so much for the Detective Conan dub in terms of being Shinichi Kudo. I mean Jimmy Kudo. Many people still, feel like his rendition is really good. So it's still people are still getting used to the new cast. So that is one of the factors, I guess. But he even if he didn't take the new cast or compare either of them, his still really stands out to me.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. I think anybody that grew up here in the States with the Funimation version will always identify those originals. But now for the new generation, it's obviously it's going to be something different, and something that hopefully all of us have an opportunity to embrace on top of the legacy I think that's been built. I think I was talking yesterday to somebody about the dub, and really the dub in itself, it has its own continuity and it has its own almost like universe in so many ways, just because of how different it really is from the Japanese version, and I mean that in a good way. In so many ways, it's really its own thing with its own continuity, and I think a lot of people growing up appreciated that.
Next, I think, is the one that is going to be the next generation of Shinichi and CMS.
Here are the facts as we know them. Mr. Yamazaki, president of Baker Bank, was murdered in
I
the
feel like
guest
he
room
sounds
on
a bit
the
more
third
like
floor.
TMS.
It happened during
I
a
mean,
party
like,
that was being
the
held
original.
here earlier tonight. The victim's death was caused by a knife wound. The door of the room was completely locked, and the key to the room was in Mr. Yamazaki's pocket.
Yeah.
Are you talking about original Japanese or
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Murray?
The original Japanese. I feel like
Okay.
he sounds a bit closer to the original Japanese.
Well, my opinion is I think TMS had a lot to do with casting this time around, I think, as opposed to what they did before. Because I mean, to me, they're spearheading this particular version and hiring out Bangzoom to really provide the voices. So you could even tell in one of the recent interviews done by TMS on their YouTube channel it was a director or a producer for Detective Conan. They actually heard the English voices audition tapes. So hearing that tells me they had a huge hand in their own right, really selecting these voices. I think Griffin Burns is a great choice. For sure. To do Shinichi Kudo and really, nobody can ever replace Jerry Jewell for me, and I think for so many other people. But I really respect his delivery, and he really does put some good chops behind it. I really like his version, and I could get used to him, doing it for years and years to come. And we'll see Kaito Kid later, so I'll save my thoughts for that one.
Yeah. I mean, next is Infinity Productions.
Mr. Yamazaki, the current president of Baker Bank, was killed in your guest room on the 3rd floor before I arrived. And the perpetrator had attacked him right after the party started. The cause of death? He was stabbed in the chest with a knife. The room was locked with a key, and the only key to that room was in Mr. Yamazaki's pocket.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the Infinity Production voice?
I have to be honest. I think Dylan really grew into that character for Shinichi. I think I remember early on his delivery was a lot different. than this one. Not necessarily how he sounds, but the line delivery. And I think in this one, he had done the character, since 2016, mid to late 2016. So, by the time this came out, oh gosh, when was that? When did their version of this come out? It had to be 2019 or 2020?
No, 2018, I think.
2018?
It must have been 2018, yeah.
I mean, by then there's almost 2 years of voicing the character throughout various episodes. He seems, very at home with the character and comfortable with it. You have to be confident when you play a character like Shinichi.
Yeah.
And he does a solid job. There's no question about it.
Yeah, he's able to capture Shinichi in his voice for sure.
Yeah, no question. And I've grown to enjoy his version, especially hearing it, here in this clip as well.
I'm Jimmy Kudo, high school detective turned pint slice sleuth. I don't know what trouble is coming for me as I try to dig up Eisuke Hondo's past, but I'm willing to bet it has something to do with the black organization that shrunk me. With a keen eye for details, one truth will prevail.
This is a fan dub by Save Case Closed. It is called The Silver Bullet Files. It does some of the Black Organization episodes. If you want, you can check out their Facebook group. It has almost, I believe, 12 episodes or out right now, or 10.
What we have available on there is is a private group. We have episodes 124 to 127, then 129, and then 491 up to 496. We're doing the Clash of Red and Black arc, so we've still got to put out 497 to 504, and then we're going to go back and fill in the gap or from early on and do 128, and from there we'll see where we go. But that's kind of where we're at. But I love Chris. I love his voice. He's been with us. He's a day oneer. He's been with us from the start. So I love his version. And of course I'm a little biased. He's fantastic, and if you hear his voice work, even I think in 129 billion yen robbery case where Hybrid is introduced, if you listen to him in that is some of his absolutely very best work that he's done for us. So check it out for sure. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, for Shinichi, I feel like almost everyone has knocked it out of the park, and including in the Save Case Closed episodes of the Silver Bullet Files. Even Chris has done a really good job. All of these voices sound almost, I won't say similar, but almost in the same vein. They all have the same energy as Kudo. If you think of Shinichi, you think of charisma, you think of a confident voice, and you can hear that in Chris when he delivers his lines.
I would love to record an episode with him where he's be on screen a little bit talking, but that would be really cool someday.
Yeah. Anyway, next we have none other than Conan.
博士の服ですよ。前の方は濡れた跡があるけど、後ろはそれがない。雨の中を走ってきた証拠です。それにズボンに泥が跳ねている。この近辺で泥が跳ねる道路は工事中のコロンボの前だけだ。おまけにコロンボ特製のミートソースがヒゲについてるしね。君は初歩的なことだよ、アガサ君。
Yeah, the original Japanese, you can't beat it. I mean, in terms of
and really happy late birthday to her, by the way. She just has celebrated a birthday about 5 days ago. So, OG Conan.
Yes, she's been there from the start, and she's doing such a good job. Let's see the Singapore dub.
But I can tell from your clothes. The front of your shirt is wet, but not the back. That's how I figured out that you were running in the rain. And your pants have mud on them. The only place around here with mud is the construction site in front of the Columbo. And you still got the Columbo special sauce in your mustache. Well,
how did you do that?
Elementary, my dear professor.
Now listen to that last part when we look at the Bangzoom version, because that is going to have a almost exact similar line when he delivers that.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Like all these years later, they basically replicated that line in the Bangzoom version.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Do you think they would have seen it maybe by chance the original Singapore?
Bangzoom?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah.
on their end they did. I really, like I said, I think TMS spearheaded a lot of the content. Now, who
Yeah.
provided the scripts? I couldn't tell you.
That's true.
But you know, whoever did the translation on this end, I mean, it's eerily similar. I have always said, and as controversial as it may be, and it may rub some U.S. fans the wrong way. If you look at the Bangzoom version and you compare it really to the Singapore version, the new movies and everything really is a continuation of this work. And the reason I say that is they use the original names, the original continuity exists. You have a line like that in there. I mean, it really feels more like this new dub is a continuation of what they did in Singapore because they're not using, you know, the American names like Jimmy Kudo, Rachel Moore, Richard Moore, which I have no problem with, by the way. I love that, like I say, that continuity, that own kind of world of Case Closed. But this was Detective Conan. What we have now is basically Detective Conan with the original names and original kind of continuity that was put in there from the beginning, really based on, you know, what Joe Mouri did with this character and so many others did, you know, with the, you know, Brian Zimmermans and Chuck Powers and Su Ping. So really, I've always been a big believer of that.
Yeah. Yeah, they've really set a precedent for like they've really like introduced the first ever dub, and to see TMS adopt some of these aspects of the original of the Singapore dub means that maybe there was at least some overlap in terms of Odex doing the dub with TMS and Bangzoom doing the dub with TMS. Maybe because TMS has the same idea of Conan, maybe because they were more involved in Bangzoom's iteration of Case Closed, that must have influenced at least a bit, I guess.
And you can hear Joe Murray's really, you know, changing the voice. I don't hear really any similarities here to Shinichi, and I know he said that the studio had applied a little bit of pitching in addition to that to the voice as well. So how much of that, I'm not necessarily aware, but a lot of this is him, you know, changing the character. And when he auditioned, he had to audition for both, basically, both characters.
That's a really good idea on their part, to have the same voice actor play both the characters, because it's basically the same person. So to have someone who can do both is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, and even if you hear his later work as Conan as well in some of the later episodes, I think it really grows on the performance here even as well in the early going stages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elementary, my dear professor.
It doesn't sound too pitched. It sounds natural, even though they pitched it a bit.
That's what I mean. I have no idea how much they really apply, what pitching or how much was applied, but he really, I mean, he did change his voice significantly for Conan, and really had to put a lot of effort into that, I'm sure.
No, I just read the clues. For example, I noticed that the front of your clothes were much wetter than the back. This indicates that you were recently running through the rain. Then there's the mud on your trousers, exactly consistent with the mud you would encounter at the construction site in front of the restaurant. And to top it off, you still have Columbo's special sauce in your mustache.
That's amazing.
Only one truth prevails.
Oh.
Yeah, so
love that catchphrase.
Yeah. This voice. It's just so nostalgic.
Yeah, it really is. And Allison, I mean, amazing, you know, obviously is Conan, and kind of like Jerry Jewell, naturally kind of sounds like Conan when she talks.
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty cool little detail there.
Yeah, right from the get-go, they've literally nailed the character. This is basically the first episode that they've done, and they've literally knocked it out of the park.
Take a good look at your clothes. The front of your shirt is all wet, while the back of your coat is completely dry.
Huh?
That proves you've been out in the rain. And your pants have been splattered with mud.
What?
And there's only one road here that gets muddy. The construction zone in front of Columbo. You also have meat sauce on your mustache that's the exact same color as the meat sauce served at Columbo.
Huh? Oh. Wait, that must mean no way. It's elementary, my dear Agasa.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. And the only difference in that line is he says, "My dear Agasa" here, and he says, "My dear Professor" in the Singapore version.
Yeah, it's almost the same way that they deliver the line.
Yeah, the only thing I will say about this version and Wendy Lee, I've grown to really enjoy Wendy Lee do Conan. In some of this early work, I wish they were just a little more fast paced in line delivery. You know, when you
Yeah.
hear this version compared to what we hear in the Japanese, the Singapore, and the Funimation version, where it sounds naturally talking,
Yeah.
this sounds a little bit slower.
Yeah.
To me. So I just
Yeah,
wish
yeah.
that it was more of a faster pace. I mean, they would have had to write more dialogue for that scene if
Yeah.
they had done that, but at the same time, it just feels a little bit slower in dialogue. It has nothing to do with the voice because I think the voice
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah,
Um,
that might be just because they want to cater to the international audience because
yeah,
that happens a lot for us. Like if we
I can
get
believe that. Yeah.
if we get something localized here, we get it at least a slow pace. Like even in regional languages, they literally slow it down and play it for some reason, maybe to cover the lines and to make people understand more. Because uh, dubs that are focused to countries like international audiences, they are literally slowed down a bit. So this even like in the first few Detective Conan dubs by TMS, it's a huge big detail. I'm not sure about the more recent ones, like the last two. I haven't paid attention to that, but in the first one that they released back in 2019, it was really noticeable.
Well, I only notice it now just sitting here doing the comparison. So it may not, it may be more subtle now. It's just when you watch the original comparisons,
Yeah.
you know, with Japanese, Singapore, and Funimation, you can definitely see a slowdown here. But this was also, to be a little bit more on the fair side for me, is I mean, this is the remake of episode one. This isn't actually the
Yeah.
true episode one. So that may have some bearing on it as well. And I mean, this is more of an international dub. It's not just for
Yeah.
U.S. audiences.
That's true.
So that's a good point.
Yeah, even the voice is really good. Like at first, I wasn't a huge fan of the voice. It had to grow on me a bit, and it sounds more natural. And we'll see Infinity Productions.
It's your clothes, Professor. The front side of your shirt is completely soaked.
I don't know. I like
but
this
the back
voice a
is
lot.
dry.
I do too. I do
Tells me
too.
you're running in the rain. Also, you have mud on your pants. What? And the only road that has mud in this neighborhood is the sidewalk right in front of Colombo.
This is the closest
The
for
dead
me.
giveaway is the special Colombo sauce served with your favorite meal. It's all over your mustache.
Huh? Oh, then you really are.
Only one truth prevails, Professor.
Yeah.
That was a really nice touch. I like the "one truth prevails" line.
Yes.
There too. Sora's been doing it for a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Sora's work. I mean, really, you know, OG FanDub Conan really, and I mean, knows the character, very intimate with the character, does nothing but give, you know, I mean, it does nothing but really give solid performances all the way throughout. I don't think you'll ever see a line missed or an awkward delivery in something.
Yeah.
Typically, it's all just very, very consistent. Overall. So if there was if they were bringing back the series, for example, and doing the series on an official basis, you know, in the U.S., Sora would be my choice
For sure.
for Conan long term, doing the series just
Yeah.
based on how at home the character, you know, he is with the character. So
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, even compared to the Japanese voice, I believe this almost captures it to a T. And the delivery is so perfect. I couldn't
Yes.
imagine anyone else do Detective Conan
Yes.
in any other iteration, including Japanese.
Absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. Yes.
Only one truth prevails, Professor.
Yeah, and even Wendy Lee's One Truth Prevails is
It's elementary, my dear
alright.
Agasa.
Only one truth prevails, Professor.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. But I believe you knew if he noticed them watching and they rushed to arrest him that something like this could potentially happen. You must have predicted that, didn't you, Mr. Akai?
Yeah,
Yep.
she does a good job for Conan.
Blue
I
Moon
wasn't.
88.
Yeah, yeah, Blue Moon. Yeah, yeah, she does a good job. For Conan. Uh, you know, if she has the same she's able to capture the serious tone and the lighthearted tone. That's something that uh, the TMS dub wasn't able to do on the start a lot. Like they did the serious Conan really well, and according to, I mean, in my opinion, in the first few two projects of the TMS dub, they weren't able to capture the kid side of Conan a lot. But yeah, she does a good job in capturing both the kid and the serious tone.
She's got a versatile voice. She's happy to
Yeah.
work on the series. I think again, just like with Chris, some of her very best work can be seen in 129. Going back and doing Conan for that episode, and then joining on, in 491 and 492 of our fan dub, we had two different Conans. We had Heather, and then we had, oddly enough, somebody named Blue for 492. And then we had a Blue Moon 88 who took over in 493 and onward. So she's done, I think now. Well, she's recorded every piece of dialogue for the Clash of Red and Black Arc. She's actually done. So she literally has recorded 493 to 504, and then she's doing 128, 129. And as long as she wants to continue to voice Conan in our projects, I mean, I will move heaven and earth to keep her, because she's reliable, dependable. She really delivers the lines the way I would want the lines to be delivered, and she is such a great fit for what we're doing right now. I really am so happy, with her and our production. So, and but I work on this, so like I say, I'm a little biased. My opinion may not hold as much weight, but I love her voice, and she's just a treasure to work with.
その時私はなぜかそんな予感がした。新一にこれっきりもう会えないような嫌な予感が。
Yeah. I guess we can move to the Singapore dub, because this literally sets up whatever is going to be coming on later.
I don't know why, but I had a bad feeling. A premonition that I would never see Shinichi again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that delivery a lot. Su Ping. And did a lot of female characters in that version, by the way. I can't remember if she did Amy or not. I don't think she did. She definitely didn't do the mom.
No.
I believe Denise Tan did Rachel or Ron's mother. So, but yeah, I love her voice. Really, it sets up everything that we hear. I would say kind of coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
I would say her performance in that role is more, I think, a little bit more similar to what Christina Villa is probably doing with the character now, probably more than anything else, and just set up that character very well early on.
Yeah, she's able to do a really good job for a voice that is basically the first ever iteration. That means like nothing else to base it off on other than the Japanese. She's done a really good job.
Yeah, completely. Wish we could have heard her longer over time.
Missed opportunity.
I
think so.
Why do I feel so strange all of a sudden? Like my brain's... I mean, it's like I'm never going to see him again.
Yeah, it's so natural what she's done with the voice. Colleen really, they made their own impression on Detective Conan.
Yeah, completely. And I love her delivery. I think, most people growing up really, really love her delivery. So, nothing short of, I would say, spectacular in her performance.
He's leaving. Shinichi! For some reason, at
At that moment, I had a bad feeling. A hunch that I would never see Shinichi again. I was certain of it.
Yeah, let
Yeah,
me just.
more
Yeah,
comparable, I think, to Su Ping for sure.
yeah,
In that beginning, for sure.
that's what I thought too. Let me just.
But I had a bad feeling.
Never see Shinichi again.
Yeah, the delivery is almost the same. They wouldn't have watched the Singapore dub,
I
but
just don't think they
still.
would have. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's high to me. That would be
yeah.
highly unlikely.
No, I mean, if it, for sure. I mean, this was like back in 2018.
2003, when
Oh,
they
yeah,
produced the original version.
yeah,
I don't know when they recorded this at all, really. But
yeah,
I mean, obviously, you're talking about the Singapore dub. Most of that work was produced and released in 2003. Now we do have evidence that it ran on television over there, really up until
yeah,
2007, 2008. So, could they have gotten their hands on this for the production? Sure, but it doesn't seem likely to me. But certainly, I see similarities in that delivery from Su Ping
yeah.
to Christina V.
He's leaving.
Shinichi? Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? I feel like I'll never see him again. Shinichi.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you see the tears in her eyes on the character, and you can kind of hear it in that delivery too. That is stirring up that emotion. Um, I love their version of the
Yeah,
character, and I mean they came out with episode one, an English version before anybody else. So,
yeah, for sure,
if anybody set the blueprint and went into it pretty blind, I would say certainly they did, and
for sure.
in their version of events. So, kudos to Infinity on that one.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. Like,
For some reason.
yeah, like it's. I don't know. I feel like Bang Infinity Productions is a bit. I prefer it a bit more for some reason.
Why do I have such a bad feeling about this?
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
strong.
I feel like I'll never see him again. Shinichi.
At least just in this line, I really prefer Infinity.
We can't contact him by phone, and he's breaking the class call chain again. The plans for the school event we made at the start of break have been put on hold, and we can't contact him.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. She does a
Kepler.
good job. Yeah, Kepler. She just joined too, right?
Yeah, last year, yeah, we brought her in, and she's doing Rachel for us in any productions that we're working on. So she's going to make an appearance in 128 as well, and hopefully we continue to get to work with her because I think she's fantastic, and
Yeah.
hopefully everybody gets a chance to hear more of her as well, down the
For
road.
sure. She's done a great job here, and she'll definitely do it like in the future. So
Yeah.
I can see her doing Ran for at least for the foreseeable future.
As long as she wants to, we'll have her do it. It's
Yeah,
it's a fan project. So as long as she wants to go, we want to have her. So
Yeah.
100% love her voice, love her delivery. She brings a unique touch to the character that in our production we've had a lot of different voices for Rachel, Ron. So she's definitely very, very consistent, and we're very happy to have her.
yeah.
半年ぶりの仕事だ。金持ちの娘が誘拐された。黒ずくめの男にな。
I feel like he's one of the more eccentric voices.
He's my favorite. The original
Yeah.
Mouri, Akira.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Absolutely my favorite. And I hate to say that when we're about to hear a bunch of different versions of the character. My absolute favorite.
Yeah, he did a really good job for 500 episodes.
I am so disappointed that they did not find a way to give whatever contract dispute or whatever I've read about. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but golly, I miss hearing his voice. I mean, it was so distinctive and so
Yeah.
unique. Probably, honestly, in the Japanese version, he's my favorite voice. bar none, no question. Outside of maybe a Kai Shuichi's voice,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, he is by far my favorite. 100
sure.
million miles.
I did it! I did it!
Dad, what are you doing?
I got my first job in 6 months. Some rich man's daughter just got kidnapped. The kidnapper was a man in black.
Yeah, I mean,
Chuck Powers.
he's able to capture the crazy attitude of Kogoro.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to follow it. That in that version, you can kind of hear some delivery similarities in some ways to that original Japanese version. So I think he definitely, based on hearing him, it sounds like he had to have taken some influence from that Japanese version
For sure.
at some point, and obviously working on the Singapore dub and being pretty involved with it from even the directing side. Yeah, there had to be a point where he had seen that original character from Akira and tried to kind of replicate it or deliver it similarly in some ways.
I did it! I did it! My first job in 6 months. Some rich guy's daughter's gone missing. Kidnapped by a man in black.
I mean, even though they've done like a different take from the original Japanese, it's still crazy. It's still over the top, and it still works.
Yeah, I mean, our Bruce Elliott really. I mean, it's to me that's the voice of Richard Kogoro. You know, here in the States, it's I mean, a really iconic voice for that character, but totally different from what the Japanese did. This was a situation where, you know, Funimation took a lot of these characters and didn't really follow a blueprint for them. They just kind of made them their own. And you can, you know, obviously the attitude and the delivery, the name changes. They did have some free range to do a lot of that, and you can see that here in this performance, and it's just, I mean, it's just great, you know, overall.
What is going on, Dad?
I got one! I got one! I got one! I got a job! It's my first decent client in 6 months!
Yeah, he's a good mix of the English and the Japanese for some reason for me.
Yeah, to me, I mean, he is yeah, in a lot of ways, he is. I would say more towards the Japanese side, just from my perspective. And maybe the newer voice, so to speak. But I love his delivery. I wasn't necessarily sold on Xander Mobus in movie 22 all the way, but in this special, you know, the episode 1 special, is where I was pretty sold that, okay, I'm okay with this guy being Kogoro, because his delivery and the acting skills really, really come through, and I think he does a great job.
Yeah. I mean, for me, even though Funimation's Kogoro has a place in my heart, I feel like TMS has done a really good job, and a part of me prefers him a bit more.
I would just like to see him in a TV series format where he's getting, you know, knocked out on a consistent basis and seeing kind of what that sounds like, because we don't hear him a lot in the films. We hear him in certain scenes here and there. If he was in the TV series, he'd be more of a featured piece of the show. So I would love to see him a little more. I can't put him over our Bruce Elliott at this point, just because it's so nostalgic for me. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest with you, unless they do a TV series and I get to hear him some more there. But Xander Mobus, great job. I have nothing but respect for how you're voicing the character. So that's how I feel about that one.
What's the matter, Dad?
I got one! I got one! I got one! A job! My first decent job in 6 months! Wow!
Is it just me, or does this one sound a bit closer to TMS's version?
I think it's a combination of Bangzoom and TMS, but you know, these guys did it first. So Shawnee Bravo, I think, is a fantastic Kogoro. There's no question about that. But I do think it's a mix of the original version and from what Bangzoom did with their version.
Even this one like literally came before that, and still it captures almost the same essence of TMS's version. That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, he does a really good job though. Like I feel like Infinity Production really did a really good job on this special.
Oh yeah, and I mean you
Yeah.
hear the voice work is just clean all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, he probably piled up some of these books that are laid around here, and... Yeah, it just hit me. Just when I said that about piling up the books, the cruel trick performed in this room, and the fact that the culprit who executed it is among you three.
Yeah, he's good at doing eccentric as well, because the main thing about Kogoro is you have to be eccentric, and if you get that wrong, the entire I believe the character isn't done justice. But Carrick does a good job in capturing his bizarre, crazy attitude.
Yeah, I mean a lot of work goes into Kogoro, so and you know
Yeah.
Carrick's been nothing short of fantastic. So
I mean, do you do any
yeah.
voice directing with the cast, or is this like literally their version of the character?
When they're cast, I mean, basically, I cast them based on, you know, of course, how they sounded. But yeah, for line delivery, yeah, I do all the direction on that side. Especially if I think a line could be, you know, if I need a different delivery on that, I'll, you know, let them know. Typically, what they'll do for us is record a line about 3 or 4 different ways in different tones, and we'll just select it from there, basically, which take we really liked, I think, the most. But yeah, if I need something delivered a certain way, I obviously do all that direction with them over, you know, Discord or Skype.
Yeah, he does a good job though.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
You have a good Kogoro.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I love working with him.
So that is the end of the first part to this video. There are 2 parts, so you know, I hope you stick around for the second one, you know, because we have a whole lot of characters in the second one, you know, all the way from Heiji to Jin to, you know, everyone that, you know, you could think of. So, you know, I hope you stick around. So I'll let you guys know when the next video is coming out, like here. Yeah. Okay guys, see you in the next video. Bye.